Hello, hello. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I have here with me today a new friend that I had made, and her name is Katherine Olson, and she has an extraordinary story, and I really want her to tell you guys um, some of that. And I'll let her introduce herself real quick. Katherine Olson, she is a cult survivor and she is an activist now and an advocate for others. And she just started a new YouTube channel, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
just started. It's got exactly one video on it saying, "Hi, I'm starting a channel," and then I haven't done anything else yet except little cat videos cuz I love my cats.
Oh, and this will be your second video, right? Because it's streaming over
Yeah.
there. It's
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
very
That's right.
cool. So explain what you do as like what your goal is for doing that and how you're advocating for others that are still.
So basically I was in Scientology for 29 years
Mhm.
from 1992 to 2021, and I left in 2021. And at first I was like, I'm not going to say anything publicly. I was like scared people were going to come after me, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to go, start my life, live my life. I don't want to say anything publicly.
Yeah.
And then about a year later I decided, okay, maybe I can do one interview. So I did an interview and told my story, and it felt great just
Mhm.
getting it out there and communicating and saying who I was, and also saying just my stance as far as like, okay, I'm not, Scientology now knows I'm not trying to get back into Scientology. I have no interest in that. I don't want them to try to contact me. Actually, nobody's contacted me, which is amazing.
It's great.
Um, and then I did another interview, and then I made some more friends and networked and made a lot of friends and did more interviews and did more talks about different things. And it was really, it's really, really, what's that word? Cathartic.
It is.
Yeah, it really is because like when I was in the Sea Org, when I was trapped in the Sea Org, I was actually watching these kind of interviews towards the end.
Oh, that's right. That's when you
Yeah.
said in Claire's
Yeah.
interview. You guys, she did
Yeah.
a wonderful interview with Claire Headley, and that's where I saw a lot of her story, and it's amazing. But yeah, I want you to explain what the Sea Org is, in case anybody out there isn't sure. Scientology has what's called the Sea Org, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the Sea Organization is it's a paramilitary um section in Scientology. It's like it's the management of Scientology. It's like the core of Scientology. It's like anything that you see in Scientology videos, books, whatever you see, it's all directed by managed by the Sea Organization, and specifically David Miscavige micromanages everything. And I was in what's called middle management. So I wasn't working right near David Miscavige, which is like international management, which actually doesn't exist anymore because he got rid of everybody. Um, but I was working right under that.
Mm.
So middle management is like um, run by in management. Now it's run by Miscavige and RTC, Religious Technology Center, which is Miscavige's organization. And so I knew a lot of what was going on strategically with Scientology. I didn't know about all the abuses that were happening at the int base. I saw many things and experienced many things myself over the years. Nothing like what happened at int. And when I found that out, actually before I left the Sea Org, I found
Mhm.
that out because I started watching videos because I connected with an old friend of mine who got me to start thinking about things a little bit differently.
Yeah, I want to talk more about that too.
Yeah.
What is INT? INT is International Base. What is
Yeah, it's the international base, which is in Hemet, California, and Golden Era Productions. It used to have a bunch of staff who were like the international managers for Scientology, and one by one, Miscavige just busted everybody and told them they were just pieces of shit and they couldn't do their job and they couldn't expand Scientology and he had to do everything anyway. And so that whole structure doesn't exist anymore.
Gotcha.
Which isn't widely known about in Scientology. In middle management, we knew that people weren't there anymore, but we didn't know exactly what happened. We just knew a lot of people got in trouble and were not doing their jobs anymore, and most of it was being done by RTC and us.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, and David is the leader of Scientology, correct?
He is the leader of Scientology, and he very much manages Scientology, regardless of what he says. He's like corporately and legally and whatever. He's not actually supposed to be managing Scientology the way the corporation is set up. And in like any of the legalese or trials or whatever he's been involved in, you'll hear them say that he doesn't manage Scientology. But he does. He does. I know from personal experience about hearing, chairman of the board says we're to do this, chairman of the board says we're to do that, blah, blah, blah. He totally does.
I've heard that it's like almost like it's like a layer, right? To keep protected.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Exactly. And there's all these and the way it's set up, like corporately, there's no corporation called the Sea Organization. Mm-hmm. It's individual corporations. Like I was a part of Church of Scientology International, mm-hmm. which is an individually set up corporation. And then each org in like various cities are set up the same way. Mm-hmm. Continental management organizations are set up the same way, like Church of Scientology, Western United States, Church of Scientology, Eastern United States, things like that. But they set it up that way, so there's not a way to like come after the Sea Organization
as a whole, right?
It's not a corporation. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist, and yet there's this. Yet everybody who's in any sort of management position or management organization, like where I was, and also continentally, and then you have like the advanced organization, you have the Clearwater. You're in Clearwater, right? Where
right down the street from there, from Flag. Yeah.
Oh, you're right down the street from Flag. Oh my God.
Like 10 minutes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Grew up seeing all of them walking down the street.
Yeah. So yeah, those are all Sea Org members. Mm-hmm. All Sea Org members.
Wow.
And but it's not, but like I said, there's no corporately recognized entity called the Sea Organization. So
gotcha. I didn't know that. Okay, so how old were you when you joined, and how did you join Scientology?
I was 15 when I started in Scientology, and what happened was my sister was going to college in Portland, and I was living south of Portland with my mom. And she was going to college, and she's, walking around the city, and she walks past the Scientology organization in Portland. And what they do is they have people, as anyone who's seen like the LA protests and stuff, and the Scientology Center in Hollywood, the Test Center, it's called.
Clearwater too. I walked past them in the Way of Happiness. There's a building.
The Way to Happiness. Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's all these different places on Hollywood. I actually worked right on Hollywood, in the Hollywood Guarantee Building. It's like right down. It's like a 10-minute walk from the Test Center.
Wow.
Big 12-story building. Yeah.
So she was in Portland, though, you're saying, when she walked
she was in Portland. Okay. So she walked by the org, and they have people standing, people outside the org, mm-hmm. telling people to come in, handing out little cards and promotion stuff, and their personality tests. They try to get people in to do this personality test, mm-hmm. which basically you fill out 200 questions, and at the end of it, they give you a graph supposedly about your personality, and then anything that's low, like any of the points that are low on your like traits, they're like, Scientology can help you with this. Scientology can help you with this. That's what they do. I've actually drilled that really? Whole thing, like as far as like evaluating the tests and stuff. I've done that before.
Wow. What kind of test is it? Like just their made up test, or are they using a psychological test that
they call it? Okay, I'm trying to remember where it came from. They call it the Oxford Capacity Analysis. Has nothing to do with Oxford. I don't.
I've never heard
don't
of that
remember
actually.
where it's actually from.
Maybe I should have heard of it in my field. I don't know.
Maybe, but it's not anything. It's I don't know if it was written by Scientologists. Somebody, I saw somebody somewhere said where it actually came from.
Yeah.
It was like Johnny Attacker. Somebody
Interesting.
found out where it's actually from. I don't remember where it's actually from. I just know it has nothing to do with Oxford. And it's just a whole bunch of questions. And at the end of it, they always tell you that you, oh wow, you're depressed. You're
Really
low communication. They don't always tell you you're depressed. Okay, so if your points come out low, then it's easy to say, oh, Scientology can help you with this. Okay,
yeah.
but if they come out higher, and if you have higher traits and your traits look, and it looks pretty good and you look pretty happy, it's like, well, Scientology can help you get even better.
Of course. Oh my goodness. Wow.
Because they also think that anybody who takes this test and the points come out higher, they think, yeah, exactly, Alex. Exactly. Yeah. I don't remember who actually came out with it and where they got it from.
It sounds exactly like so is that how they recruit mostly? I know there's many ways, but
there are many different ways. That's a way to get people in off the street, because you just say, hey, you want to come and take a free personality test and get a free analysis? And they're like, oh, that sounds cool.
Do they say they're Scientology, or what would they say?
Well, no, they're saying less and less they use the word Scientology because it turns people off immediately. Like when I was in Columbus doing this kind of stuff and walking around the streets and getting people in, we would not say Scientology. We would just say, hey, you want to come and take a free personality test?
That's what I thought.
Because you say Scientology, people are like, I don't know about that. What's that? No, I've heard weird things about that. And some people will say, no, sorry, I saw Leah Remini's show. I'm not interested.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that was before you left. Yeah. What year was that?
Yeah.
I forget.
I went to Columbus in the end of 2019.
Okay.
So I was there through COVID, and then after COVID and stuff, I was there. But I was walking around the streets selling books, handing out these tests, trying to get people to come in. And yeah, you knew it, like Scientology has such bad PR out in the world. And you kind of like justify it in your own head. You're like, oh, well, there's just,
that's what I was going to ask.
PR, or, there's suppressive people spreading black PR about Scientology, and we just have to be smarter about how we get people in.
So is that equivalent to, say, when people, God, I don't even know what I can compare it to. It kind of reminds me of like political opposition, to where it's like, oh no, they're just after us because of this, and like a conspiracy.
Yeah. You
like
got
that?
it. Because Scientology is huge on conspiracy stuff. They're huge on conspiracy stuff. I was thinking about this the other day, and when I'll just segue, there'll be lots of segues. It'll be fun. So when the whole COVID lockdowns happened, a few of the staff actually thought that it was happening because there was a protest. There was going to be a protest in Philadelphia. The American Psychiatric Association was going to have some sort of conference or something in Philadelphia. And a bunch of Scientologists were going to go there and protest. And a few people actually thought that the lockdowns were happening and that they were stopping events and stuff like that because of that.
Wow.
Can you believe that? Wow. A few people were like, well, it's probably because of this, or it's probably because of that, or.
Oh, wow. I can totally believe that, though. It's so like playbook of playbook.
They're so conspiracy minded, and I'm sure there's former Scientologists that still hold some of the conspiracy stuff and kind of get sucked into it. I almost got sucked into it, and then I was like,
I can totally see how. Yeah, totally see how that would happen too. Well, because isn't that like a main thing? It's like a us versus them kind of thing. Like, what do they? What do
Yeah.
they teach you or condition you to think of the outside people? You said they're called suppressive persons, SPs, right? And that means that
Well, yeah, well, people who talk badly about Scientology or who spread bad things about Scientology, or specifically anyone in the mental health field, psychiatric psychologists. Okay, those are suppressive. Those are like big time suppressive people. Not everyone. They don't think that everyone is a suppressive person, because obviously they're trying to get more people into Scientology. So they think that most people are basically good, basically well intentioned, but then they get influenced by these people that have bad intentions. And of course, anyone who has bad intentions or feelings or whatever about Scientology, it's like, okay, they need to be handled, type thing. And anyone who's outright attacking Scientology, that's a suppressive person.
Okay, gotcha. So I could be one, maybe.
Yeah, you probably are. No, actually, you're probably a potential trouble source.
Which one is
Which
cooler?
means you're connected to a suppressive person, or you're being influenced by a suppressive person
Gotcha.
very heavily.
Very cool. Oh shit.
Or maybe several suppressive people. Like
right?
me.
Well, maybe I'll work my way up to be one of you
Yeah.
guys. You can only dream.
Right.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
wait, so Maria has a question I want to get to before I forget. She said, how are the living conditions for the Sea Org members nowadays, food and lodging? How about the working hours? Is it still 14 hours a day?
Oh yeah, it's still 14 hours a day or more. As far as food, food is a funny subject for me, because I actually worked in food service for this organization for like 12 years.
Really?
I was in charge of food service for like 800 people.
Wow.
And we tried to make it good. We tried to make it good for the staff. We really tried. It was a fight with financial planning and with getting enough money. They always wanted to cut the food money back. Always wanted to cut the food money. You know, the best stuff was given to like the senior executives, and you know, of course, chairman of the board has like 5-star everything.
Is that David?
Yeah. David Miscavige has like
Chairman
everything you could ever want. Yeah, chairman of the board, Religious Technology Center.
Jesus.
Pretentious, huh?
Yeah, too much. It's too much.
Yeah. So, but we actually tried to make it good.
Yeah.
And in the building where I was, like we had some of the best food in this org, quite honestly.
Really?
I mean, for having to have like 3 cooks for like almost 1,000 people.
No way.
I'm not kidding you. We had 3 cooks for 900 staff.
No way. That's
crazy. They and anyone who ends up working there for years just ends up physically really fucked up.
I can imagine.
Like my lower back is like messed up for life. I can't do anything. I can't do any major like anything.
Wow. Yeah, so the mental health thing. So
let me just finish answering that question. Sorry.
Yeah,
so she said food and lodging. Okay, so lodging, as far as lodging, okay, so when I was in Columbus, we had it the best I've ever had in this York, because we had apartments. There were apartments for the staff, and per our lease agreement, you could only have 4 people in that apartment. So it had 2 bedrooms, and there's only four people in each room. But when I was in LA, I had 9 roommates for like a room that should have had like maybe 4 people in a dorm. I had 9 people, and there was at one point we're all in bunk beds. So at one point there was 2 sets of bunk beds that were together like this.
Oh no.
Because there wasn't enough space.
Wow. Wait, how big were the doors? How many rooms?
There was different sizes of rooms, but it was probably like, but there was, okay, to give you an idea, there was only enough space for the beds to just barely fit in, maybe space for a dresser in between the beds. In between 2 sets of beds, there was space enough for a shelf. The rest of them were just space enough to get in and out of the bed, like a few feet of space so you could get in and out. And then at the other end was just filled with dressers, because if people needed spaces to put their clothes. So there was only enough space to like cram dressers in, have some little aisleways, and have beds. So you know, all you do is you come home late at night, you know, get ready for bed and go to bed and get up and go back to work. Like, you don't do anything in your room.
Really?
Like,
what are do you guys
sleep?
Do you guys do any extracurricular activities or anything during the day, or is it all work?
No, it's all work. It's all work, or there's supposed to be a few hours of study a day. When I worked in the kitchen, it was like I didn't have time to study hardly at all. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't, because they try to rip off my staff all the time. So like they have it was amazing because they have so many people doing just useless activities. Like they could have put like 10 people in there to do the food for the staff and whatever, right? But they constantly ripped off my staff.
Wow.
Like I at one point I was personally cooking for 6 of the senior executives. I was setting up the dining room for like 500 people to eat 3 meals a day. And I was cleaning up the dining room, and I was putting away all the food from those 500 people and doing all the orders. And I was doing like a ridiculous amount of work. It was just ridiculous.
That's crazy. Yeah. So you didn't have time to do anything anyways. Then you're just working.
I'm just like, let me go home on time so I can go to sleep.
I can only imagine how tired you were. What people
I'm
are
still tired.
I can imagine. People are probably wondering,
like my favorite thing now.
To just do nothing is lovely. No, you're good. I'm gonna share your YouTube channel on here too.
Oh, cool.
But what about the billion-year contract? Will you explain that? And I know you probably get that all the time, but for a lot of people, they've probably seen the Aftermath TV show or other movies and stuff on Scientology and are wondering. But that is the Sea Org's declaration, correct?
That's right. You sign a billion-year contract. Billion-year contract is not like a binding legal thing. It's just like it's just like a symbol. But and then what they do is you sign a legal contract. Legal as it can be, whatever. You sign a legal contract every 5 years. You just sign it every 5 years.
I've never heard that before. What is that?
Well, that's like the one that's like written in like legalese and everything. And that's this the billion-year CR contract just says, I contract myself to the C organization for the next billion years. Wow. And then you just sign and you have witnesses. And then the other one is like an actual contract, like legalese type thing that you sign. Yeah. So yeah, I left I broke my contract a little early. So
did you? Yeah. So okay, I'm posting this is her new YouTube channel, and she wants to bring awareness, as she said, bring awareness to those, because as you said, Katherine, well, before you left, I want you to explain to people how this transformation occurred. The cognitive dissonance started to you started to lessen it. And how did that process go?
Okay, hold that thought. Let's just go back to how I got in.
Oh yeah,
we segued off. I'm trying to keep track.
I get so excited.
Yeah, I know.
Subscribed. Awesome.
So I was saying, okay, so my sister walked in, she took a personality test, she bought a Dianetics book. And so Dianetics is not part of science. It's like the forerunner to Scientology. And a lot of people are gotten in through that book because, I mean, that book doesn't mention Scientology. It's supposedly just a science of the mind and all this stuff, right? Wow. So she bought that book, and then she was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And then she showed it to my mom, and my mom was like, "Oh, this is awesome." And then my mom read another book, which is called Science of Survival, which is a Scientology book. And she read that book, and it tells all about how to supposedly how to predict human behavior, all about, if you've ever heard of anything in Scientology called the tone scale.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It breaks down, because it talks about how people move like up the tone scale, like through various emotions, but it's not, if you compare it to the real world, it's really inaccurate.
Wow.
And that's also the book that tries to tell you that yeah, gay people and lesbians are just like the lowest of the low.
They
And
do?
they're just, yeah. It actually, there was a line in that original book that was taken out of the new book.
Huh.
They reissued all the books in 2007, and there's a specific line where it talks about homosexuals being covertly hostile, which is a really low tone level, a really like they'll just stab you in the back. They're just evil people and blah blah blah. They actually took that out of the book in the 2007 edition. So it's not there anymore. So they'll say, "Oh no, we don't say that." But it was definitely there, because I read that book before that, and I read it after. I'm like, wow, they took out that line. That's so interesting.
So that's why they say, "Oh no, we're accepting of all, we're all inclusive," right? But they really
Yeah.
but isn't it
Yeah.
like behind closed scenes it's like not acceptable or something? Is that how it
Yeah,
goes?
like they'll allow LGBTQ people to
Join?
come in, take a course if they want to. They'll allow them to get auditing, but they'll only let them go so far. Like there's a guy whose video I saw when I was still in the Sea Org, who talked about how he actually joined the Sea Org, got auditor trained, got like trained as a counselor in Scientology. It's called an auditor.
Really?
And
Okay.
he went up the levels, the Scientology levels. He got through clear, which is just a high level of auditing. And then he did like various operating Phaeton levels, which is just
Mm-hmm.
it's just a higher level of auditing, and supposedly giving you these special powers and shit. It's just,
Is that where
but
Xenu comes in?
yeah,
Or
that's right. That's right. So he went through that, and then um, and then it came up that he had like gay tendencies or whatever. Like he communicated that, and they wouldn't let him go past a certain level unless he was going to say, "Oh, I'm not gay anymore," or whatever. Like they think that they can like audit it out. Like
okay,
they
I've
can
heard that.
audit you so much that it's gonna go away eventually.
Wow,
So
they still believe that. That's what they
yeah,
what they
so they'll
do,
let you in. They'll let
right?
you in. They'll let you do services. They won't let you in the Sea Org. They will not let you in the Sea Org.
Whoa.
Mm-mm.
So is it like conversion, kind of like a conversion therapy?
Yeah,
I guess like you can't really. I mean, it's not that, but it could be considered that. It sounds like,
pretty much. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Because
What?
they won't let them get past a certain level. Like for example, I know there's all this like hype on John Travolta being bi and stuff
Oh
like that. You
yeah,
know about that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's not, as far as I know, he's never made it up to the highest level, like the Tom Cruise operating Phaeton level 8.
Oh, he's up
I
there.
don't think that John Travolta has ever gone up that high, because they won't let him, because of this, because he's bi. So it's like, oh, sorry, no, you're still unhandled. You can't do that yet.
Wow. Did everybody know that he was? Someone
No,
saying that.
no.
Okay.
I mean, not in the Sea Org. Maybe
Huh.
Scientologists did, and probably some Sea Org members wondered about it, but no, it's not like a widely known thing.
Yeah, because of how
Hmm.
they shame it so much. That's why I was like,
Yeah.
when I heard that, I was like, wow.
Yeah, and like when I was in Columbus, there was a guy who was taking services, who was gay, and everybody was really nice to him, nice to his face, and blah blah blah. But then when he wasn't around, they'd crack little jokes, and they'd be like, yeah.
Or is it like that with other groups, minority groups of any kind that you know of?
Um,
Or is that going off?
Not really. No, I don't think
Just curious.
so. No, because it's very, I don't want to say it's diverse. Okay, in the building I was in, there was staff from all over the world,
Mm,
from
okay.
all different countries.
They just bring
Um,
them. So what is that about? So how do they determine where you go, where you're stationed, or where you work?
um,
They just bring you in from all over.
well, yeah, they bring you in from all over, and there's organizations in like in cities like all over the world. Like
Yeah,
there's like
in other
Paris just
countries.
opened one.
Wow.
There used to be a couple in Russia. Russia's weird. I don't know if they shut down the orgs or not, or if they're still operating. I heard that the executive director in Moscow took like some sort of political asylum in Clearwater or something. I don't know. I don't know what's happening exactly with
Sounds
that.
wild. Oh wait,
Yeah.
there was another. Oh wait, so okay, so keep telling me about how.
But
I,
as far
I
as like deciding where you go and stuff, it depends on like your level of training in Scientology. It depends on how long you've been in Scientology. If you have any special skills, if you have like
Mhm.
special training or anything, sometimes you'll be able to go and use that. Um, Sometimes not. Sometimes they totally waste that, or they say like, "Oh, well, you're not qualified to do this, so you're going to go to be a dishwasher." For example, real life example, there was a guy. Excuse me. When I worked in the kitchen, there was this Taiwanese guy who was a professional violinist, and they told him that he was going to go and work in Scientology media productions
Hmm.
because he was a musician, trained musician. And then when he got to LA, they decided he wasn't really qualified because he hadn't been a Scientologist long enough, and they put him as a dishwasher.
Weird.
Yeah, for like a year. And this guy was really upset about that
Wow.
because like he told his family, I'm going to the US to be a musician, and now he's being a dishwasher. So he's like, "No, I want out of here." And then they wouldn't let him leave. For a long time they wouldn't let him leave because it's like, "Oh, we need to give you a confessional, security check, and like all this like stuff before we'll send you back to Taiwan." And he's just like, "No, just let me go. I don't want to be
So
here."
so you sign. So when you enter the Sea Org, then you have to sign like the legal one. You said that's updated every 5 years, or that you have to
Yeah.
renew every 5 years, right? And then does
Yeah.
that say like you can't leave? Like what does that? I mean, does that like are you allowed to leave? I just want to know.
That's the You're keeping yourself there. Like
Okay, okay. So
like
you
anybody who makes it up to okay, so they generally recruit they don't recruit like brand new Scientologists for the
okay,
Sea Org.
okay. That
Generally
makes
you've been in Scientology a while, you've done services, or you were born in and you've done courses, and you're already indoctrinated, you're already a Scientologist. And so it's just a matter of, you need
okay.
to take responsibility for mankind and join the Sea Org and clear the planet.
Is that what they say? Take responsibility.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
keep
That's
hearing that.
responsibility is a huge thing. It's a
Yeah,
huge thing.
talk about that because that is something that I see like correlations with a lot of like all kinds of abuse, even in addiction and stuff too, addiction recovery. So I'm just curious, like what is that about? Where's that from, or what's that?
Well,
You pull in
because
stuff?
they basically think that they need to turn the whole world into Scientologists.
Okay,
They need to get everybody doing Scientology in order for the world to not uh, destroy itself,
okay.
not like not have another world war, not have drugs anymore, crime, or any of this stuff. They're convinced that Scientology is the answer to everything.
So it's
So if they're
got
trying to get you to join the Sea Org, that's like the ultimate way to like take responsibility for mankind, and to get everybody into Scientology, and to expand the orgs, make the orgs really big, and get people going to the orgs and all this stuff. That's like the ultimate thing you can do in Scientology to take responsibility for your
wow.
fellow man,
So it's an
right?
ideology that is very strong because you belong and you're working toward it's almost like a spiritual, well, I know spiritual sounds like godlike, but I mean like a like a higher
Yeah,
kind of thing, like
exactly.
all being
Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
okay, because then that makes, so we have a mission, we have to do this.
exactly.
I would imagine
Exactly.
that would be very easy to stay then, if because we're driven by that kind of thing.
Yeah, because if you really believe, if you believe in what you're doing and you believe that you're helping people, and you get all this internal propaganda, like there's so
Right.
much internal propaganda to make the staff and make the public believe that Scientology is just getting out everywhere, and Scientology is stopping wars, and Scientology reduce the drug problem in Colombia by 80%, and just all this stuff where it's like it's either embellished, it's either just a little bit true, maybe they handed out some booklets or something and there was some correlation of crime being less or something, and then they go like, oh, it's because we handed out these way to happiness booklets, and but it's just embellished, it's embellished beyond belief. And I didn't realize that until I started watching people from Golden Era Productions, which is where the international events used to be done.
Wasn't that where Mitch was in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he wasn't. Well, yeah. I mean, he worked for Gold.
Okay.
He wasn't a Sea Org member, but for all intents and purposes, I'm sorry, Mitch was a Sea Org member.
Because I remember Golden Era, him saying that.
Yeah,
so
he did the same hours. He got the same shit that other people like. Come on, it's like, okay, yeah, he was a professional, but you might as well just say he was in the Sea Org Gold practically.
Right.
So whatever.
He worked there too, obviously. So okay, Golden Era. That's why I thought was like the cinema part of it, right? That's what.
Okay. Yeah. So they used to do these. I'm sorry.
Like the propaganda network, like
yeah, exactly. They used to do these events that are now done by Scientology Media Productions, but they used to do these events like 7 times a year where Miscavige gets up and talks about how Scientology is handling crime in South America and doing all this stuff all over the world, and it's just it's invented, it's embellished, it's made up. They take a little thing that's happening and they make it like huge, this huge thing that's happening, and Scientology is expanding and blah blah blah.
Wow.
And if you're in the bubble and as a Scientologist or especially as a Sea Org member, you just you believe it. Because it's like, oh yeah, this is what's happening. And you're like, this is so cool. We're like doing all this good stuff, and we're like reducing crime, and we're helping people, with human rights, and because there's like a whole organization that's like devoted to getting the what is it called, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Okay.
Like they try to get that out. That's like one of the front groups where they're like, oh yeah, Scientology is promoting human rights, and meanwhile it's like all these human rights violations. You're just like, what? Like,
right, because they got you working, isn't it? It's like trafficking, correct? Like, I don't.
Yeah, they can send you. It's like the guy I talked about from Taiwan. Yeah. Somebody recruited him in Taiwan to do Scientology, and then somebody saw that he was qualified for this Sea Org and was like, hey, do you want to go and do your music in the US and be a musician for this new organization, Scientology Media Productions? It's like, that sounds cool. Wow. And they send him over there, and it's like, oh, guess what? Actually, you're gonna be a dishwasher. So it's like bait and switch, or they tell you you're going to do a certain thing, like, and then you end up going to replace somebody else so that they can go and be in that organization. It's like, actually, we need you to replace somebody else. You need to work a little bit more in Scientology, and then eventually you can go there. Usually, it doesn't happen.
Interesting.
But they can send you wherever they want. For example, when I went to Columbus, I was told I was going to Columbus. You're going to Columbus. Okay.
Okay. So you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm like, okay. I had been on the same post for 12 years, and it was like, you have like an hour to turn over to your replacement. You're going to Columbus. Interesting. Like, good. Okay. I was glad to get out of LA personally, but then once I was in Columbus, when all this stuff happened, and if they would have found out I was like watching these videos, talking to somebody the way I was talking to them about Scientology and about my doubts in Scientology, they would have sent me right back to LA to handle me.
Tell me what. Okay, tell me what.
LA.
Yeah, so is that when it started, when you got sent to Columbus then, to where you started? Okay, tell us.
Because I was everything was under lockdown, and the org was closed
2019 or so, you said?
months. March 2020 to July 2020, the org was closed. Okay. We were all in the apartments, and what we were doing is we were like still getting people to donate for Scientology, for membership, for services, to do like extension courses, like courses at home. They could do these like correspondence courses at home. So everybody was still doing that kind of stuff, selling books over the phone, whatever they could possibly do, right? But we weren't going into the org. We were just at the apartments.
Doing that.
And once you're away from that environment and away from like the group setting and the musters and the staff meetings and all this like super control that they do on you, you're out of that environment and you're like, this feels really good.
Yeah.
And, wow, I can breathe. And then they actually like let us go on walks and stuff. And yeah, go ahead and take a walk.
Couldn't before.
Get out. No, because you're just in the org full time, but it's like, okay, they're not going to like, tell us we had to stay in our apartments 24/7 and whatever. Yeah, you guys can go for walks. So it's fine.
Right.
So then you start to like really like get out and be out of that environment and away from the people, which is very, it's very, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. Very therapeutic, I guess.
Yeah.
To be out of that environment. And then you're like, I feel so much better. And then for me, in the middle of it, I like got like surgery and stuff in the middle of it, which was exciting.
To get away.
They didn't let me go to the ER for like 5 days because anyway, it was wild.
Jesus Christ.
But you feel so different being away from the org. And then once the org opened and we started going in the building again, like I remember the first day I went back into the building, I was like, I really don't want to go. I don't want to go to the building. Oh my God. And I was in the building and I was sitting there in this staff briefing and we had just started wearing masks and stuff. And we had to wear masks and we had to wear gloves, rubber gloves.
Oh no.
So I was sitting there. I was like, this sucks. It just really sucks. Plus I had been talking to my friend for like months by then.
Oh, so was that was like a secret, right?
Like, yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't tell anybody about that.
How'd you meet him? Your friend?
Oh, what's that?
How'd you meet your friend if you weren't able to go?
So I started. No. It's fine. I don't mind telling you. Yeah, I started an illegal Facebook account. Because actually I did it. At first I did it because I wanted to see what other orgs were doing as far as like promotion on Facebook, because every org does have a Facebook account and it's managed by, guess who? The DSA, who's a part of OSA.
Interesting.
That's who manages all the social media for the org. So is
that what your sister was in? She was the DSA?
Yeah, my sister was the DSA for Portland many years ago, before any social media type stuff and whatever. So whatever. She didn't do that, but she did different public relations type stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she wasn't involved in any of the dirty trick type stuff.
I got you. So what about, okay, so you're not allowed to have internet, right? How did that happen? Because you were there before there was internet, right?
Yeah. I joined the CR before the internet existed.
Okay. So
then the internet, so when the segue off again. So when the internet started, at first it was like, nobody can have access to the internet.
Really?
Like, no one can have access to the internet. And then it gradually morphed into, okay, well, if you need access for your posts specifically, like if you're somebody who like purchases for the org or something, it's like, okay, or needs to do research, okay, you can have limited access. but it was super controlled, right? But
Sounds
then
like
after a while,
what?
they OSA set up these filters on the internet so that it would block you if you search for certain terms. Like you can't search for any like Xenu or OT levels, or actually you can't even search for Scientology anymore. You can't even search any Scientology orgs on their internet filters anymore. It just got more and more and more and more filtered, right? Wow. So you could have internet access, but it was just like you couldn't see hardly anything.
Really?
And I actually found a little way around it when I was in LA, because you could search, it would show you could search Scientology, and it's probably not set up like this anymore. They probably figured out that people were doing this, but you could search Scientology and it would give you, it gives you like the Google listing on stuff. So you could see the Google listing, like the headlines, but you couldn't click on any of the stuff. I found out about the whole Masterson thing like early on because I would do those searches just to see. I'm like, I want to see what's happening in the world. I want to see what people are saying about Scientology.
What made you curious though? Because does everybody get curious like that?
It's hard to tell because I would never tell anybody that I was doing that, but I'm sure they are.
Right.
I'm sure if I was doing it, I'm sure other people were doing it. I'm sorry.
So like you would get in trouble, right? Isn't like an ethics?
Oh yeah.
What it's called? Yeah. So like you can't be doing that, right? So then, okay, what would happen if you got caught?
I would get a security check, like interrogation type thing. Like, why are you searching for this? Like, are you disaffected with Scientology? Are you connected to a suppressive person? Are you, like, and my internet access would just be totally cut off. Actually, for the last few years that I was there in LA, I was using somebody else's logon, so that. And I ended up using someone else's logon, so they couldn't even trace it. They couldn't trace anything to me because I was using somebody else's internet logon. I was like, screw this! I'm not going to use my own. I'm going to get somebody else's.
But so then you started seeing it. So this is what is really important to show is like how this process happened to where it's almost like you were in an abusive relationship with the C word, right? So absolutely. This is important for that fact that the cognitive dissonance, like you believe in this ideology and that you're clearing the planet, correct? And then you're getting curious, and that's how it starts, right? So then you're getting curious, you're Googling, and then what else happened in the process?
Well, so I started doing a lot of that after 2000 in 2007. So let me just go back for a second. So when I first joined, so my sister joined, and then my mom got interested, and she got me to take a course, and then we moved to Portland, and we were all on staff. And then I joined the Sea Org in 1994. My mom and my sister stayed on staff, and then my mom ended up leaving staff years after that, and then my sister left staff, and then they both decided they didn't want to do Scientology anymore, but they hadn't told me. They hadn't told me that they didn't want to, because they didn't want to upset me. They didn't want to say, oh, by the way, we're not going anymore. So in 2007, my sister came to LA to see me, and my mom came with her too. They both came to see me in LA, and they basically told me, hey, we're not, just so you know, we're not in Scientology anymore, and we want you to take some time off and think about if you really want to do this, or what you really want to do with your life. And I was like, oh my God, no, I don't want to do that. And I was just like, and it was too much of a shock for me.
Yeah, like an intervention. It sounded like when you were telling that on Claire's interview, I was like, that is exactly like an interview. It's where, wow.
Yeah, it was too much of a ice water dip, because if you go from thinking, oh, they're both still in Scientology, okay, fine, they're not on staff anymore, but they're still Scientologists, and then they say, oh, we're not, and by the way, we don't agree with most of what is happening in Scientology, and we want you to leave. You're like, what? Wait a second, no, time out.
So you had no idea. So this is like, oh my God. And then they're like, hey, we have a suitcase for you in case you want to dip.
My mom actually told me later on that she had brought an empty suitcase for me. But I freaked out and I'm like, no, we need to go talk to somebody. And then I tried to get them to talk to somebody from OSA and whatever. They took off and left and didn't talk to anybody. And it was a whole thing for like a couple of years.
Yeah, so they knew that they knew how that operated. So they got out of there to the hotel.
Yeah.
So, and you thought, and you think like, hey, I'm doing the right thing because, you know, do you think like, because gone away from the purpose, or what do you think? What were you thinking?
Yeah, because you think that you're, oh, hello. Sorry, my cat just came up. You think that you're helping to save the world.
Right.
And,
so
yeah, you really think that what you're doing in Scientology, my cat wants to say hi. Ow.
Hi, kitty. But is it like, so what are they viewed as? Like they're being bad or almost like sinful, as in like a religion, or what is it like?
It's not, like as far as my mom and my sister?
Yeah, like when they stray away and they become, what is it, PTS, or is it a SP?
Yeah, they just think that they're I mean, you can say out ethics, you can say PTS, potential trouble source. Oh, they're just connected SPs. You can say all sorts of things about what they are. But up until the point where they start bad mouthing Scientology or saying publicly that they're not in Scientology anymore, or announcing publicly that they're not in Scientology. Once you announce publicly you're not in Scientology, that's it. You're a suppressive person. That's the end of it.
I remember.
So up until that point, it's like if you're a Scientologist and you have somebody doing that, you're trying to handle them to not act like a suppressive person.
Okay, got you. So you're trying to like get them. You're trying to like save them, basically, right? Because they've gone astray or something, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's it's a strong trauma bond.
Oh yeah. Are you kidding?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's wow. Yeah. So then, which part did you want to go to when?
Okay. So. Oh yeah, 2007. So they did it. My mom and my sister basically tried to do an intervention with me in 2007. It didn't work. I didn't leave. I ended up disconnecting because I thought it was the best thing to do, because to me, I was like, so Scientology believes in you live lifetime after lifetime after lifetime for like millions and trillions of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my rationale on it was, and this is going to sound really fucked up, but my rationale was, okay, so I've had thousands and millions of family members throughout my whole history of my existence, right? But I've never had Scientology. So now I have Scientology. Okay, so if I have to say one or the other, I'm going to go with Scientology, because I've never had Scientology, and Scientology is the best thing ever, and it's great and it's wonderful and whatever. And if I have to sacrifice talking to my family, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's how I justified it in my own mind. But and then I cried like the entire, and then at the same time I cried like all night when I made that decision. So that should have told me something.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I was just like,
but it makes sense to where it's like this higher purpose, and so the prior lives, I forgot about that. So that's like, so you've had all these they don't place an emphasis on family, correct? Like your actual
they try to say that they do, but when it comes down to it, it's like whatever is better for Scientology is what you decide. They try to have this thing where it's like, okay, yeah, you have these quote dynamics. You have like yourself, you have your family, you have your group, you have mankind, you have animals, you have all these things that like make up your life. So if you make a decision, you're supposed to base it on what is the greater good for your life, for your dynamics. So does it help you? Does it help your family? Does it help the group? Does it help mankind? Like all this different stuff, right? But when you get down to it, you go, okay, so Scientology supposedly helps all of those points.
Right.
So if you're going to make a decision against Scientology, that's going to be a non-survival decision.
Right.
So anything so you're not really taking into account your whole life, right?
It's so much like it's not, it's just wild because I've heard that line of thinking in so many things. It's like, wow. Yeah, it's the greater good, the group think, right?
Yeah.
So of course you're going to pick Scientology.
Yeah. 1 second. I just want to tell my moderator if he could just, if I hope he can start questions on my.
Oh yeah.
This is streaming to my channel too. So any of the questions.
Yeah. Do you want to start?
I just want to make sure I answer people's questions at the end. Well, I don't know if we got through everything.
We can go as long as you want. No, I'm serious. Like I don't have a time, so it's up to you.
Yeah, I don't really either. So 2007. So yeah, there was the whole intervention that's what got me to start looking on the internet more, because even though OSA told me OSA told me different things that they found about my mom, and where she came at one point and tried to see me in LA after that. And they tell me different things, but I was like, I don't know if they're telling me everything that she's doing. So I just want to check for myself, because I don't want any more surprises. That was my thought. I was like, no more surprises, no more like ice water dips into reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So then I started checking on the internet. I would just Google Scientology and see if anything came up. So I knew about the masters and stuff when it was happening.
What did you think about that? Were you surprised?
I thought that there was probably some SP behind it who was just trying to take down Scientology. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Did you know? Well, I don't want to get too into it, but so did you find out more about the case, or who you didn't? They were Jane Does at that point, right?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the. I didn't really look into it beyond just seeing that it was happening. Okay. I didn't really look into it. I was more interested in is my mom saying anything? Is anyone saying anything about me? Because also my mom was connected with Anonymous at the time. So there was also, some people from Anonymous were saying things specifically about me online.
Really?
And there was even at one point, there was a few of the Anonymous protesters that were outside my building with a sign about me.
Wait, tell us
what? And somebody in the UK, one of the UK protests, they had a sign about me, free Kate Olsen.
Oh my God. I feel like I've heard your name or seen.
Maybe you may have. It was a whole thing with Anonymous. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So how did your mom get hooked up with them? Because she fought for you, right? She was
trying she was trying to do something about it for a very long time.
Good for her.
But my sister got online, and I think my sister connected up with some people, and then got my mom connected up or something like that. Somehow they connected up online with various people, and with some former SEERG members, Scientologists that were trying to help her as well.
Yeah.
And actually an old friend of mine who I was in the SEERG with, who blew and who was declared and stuff, connected up with my mom and was trying to help her. And yeah, she found all kinds of people, and she was just trying to get to me. But the problem is that when you're in the SEERG, you look at this and you're like, oh, they're just trying to destroy Scientology, which they were, but to you as a SEERG member, you're like, Scientology is the best thing ever. Scientology is going to save this planet and make it so we don't have World War III, and make it so we have this perfect civilization. And that's what's in your mind as a SEERG member. So then you see this stuff happening, and you're like, okay, they're just against that. They're the bad people. Or they just don't understand, or the people that are following that just don't understand. And really it's the major suppressive people that are behind this. Right. Scientology thought that people the Headleys and Mike Rinder and stuff, they thought that they were the ones behind Anonymous. They weren't.
Really?
They were not. Yeah.
Wow.
But because of the whole conspiracy thing, they're like, oh, the major SPs must be behind this.
Yeah, it's all one thing. That's because not everybody is because everybody else knows the truth that Scientology is great, right?
Yeah. Either that or it's psychiatrists that are trying to, because psychiatrists are trying to take down Scientology.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
It's
that's a
so
whole other
conspiracy
thing that I would
minded.
love to talk about too, because I mean, I've watched some stuff about it, about how he thought that they were like the devil, right? Like what, like basically.
Yeah, he basically thinks that they've been around for millions of years, and they're like the cause of downfall of any civilization has led back to psychiatry.
Oh my God, that sounds like a major dictator that
Yeah.
started World
Right.
War II.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
wild stuff. The level of conspiracy think in Scientology is just it's like nothing you'll ever encounter.
Is there a lot of unitedness in with the Sea Org members? Is there a lot of division and fighting, or how is that?
It's more, what I experienced was it's more united than there was division, but at the same time, people will throw you under the bus if it's gonna benefit them, or if they're gonna not get in trouble for something, they'll throw you under the bus. Some people won't. Some people are decent.
Because they make those written complaints, right? What is it, ethics complaint or something, where they
Oh,
write
the knowledge reports,
knowledge reports or something?
the snitching culture that I've heard it described as. I'm like, wow, what a great description. Yeah, it is a snitching culture, because you're supposed to report on any quote outnesses, like, oh, I saw this person smoking a cigarette when they're supposed to be working, or
Sounds
just
like communism, and it sounds like Germany.
yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, or
All right.
1984.
Yeah.
Like, I read 1984. I'm like, wow, this is really fitting. Oh, and you want to know something creepy? So when I was in Columbus, one of my roommates at the time was reading 1984 just for the
No.
hell of it, right? And she said, "Wow, this is just like what the Sea Org would be if it was really messed up, or if it was something bad." Like, she realized that that's what it was like. But in her mind, it was like, if the Sea Org was trying to do something bad, or Scientology was trying to do something bad, this is what it would be like.
Wow.
But it really was like that. So it's like,
Wow. So that's like the part of that. So that's like the process too of like, there's like a little awareness there, but it's still
yeah,
just stopped it
yeah.
there.
But you still try to like justify it in your own mind. You still try to make it make sense, because otherwise you like nothing makes sense.
Right. So that's like the cognitive dissonance of like, so you see, like, well, okay, with your mom and your sister, when they came, it's like you were not ready for that, to see that. So it's like
Yeah.
whatever evidence is in front of your face, it's like, oh no. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, no, this is just what you're telling me is just a bunch of stuff from SPs, and it's just black
Right.
PR and Scientology, and you need to find out what's really going on, and you need to like stop listening to these people that you're listening to. And plus, it's like there's other things that go back further between me and my mom. So it's like, unfortunately, we didn't have a close enough relationship where it would be like, oh, this is my mom, I should listen to her.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was also a problem, and that goes back much earlier into something else. So
wow.
all that put together is just, it's like, I could have left at that point. I could have gone, yeah, I'm not happy here, and I want to leave, because I was fooling myself for years that I was happy, or that I liked what I was doing, or whatever. And I was not.
When did you discover that you were fooling yourself, that you felt like that?
Really, it was when I went to Columbus, and I started, it was during the whole lockdown thing, and being away from the org, and the way I felt when I was away from the org and away from that environment. And then when I started talking to the person who helped me the most on getting out, and he showed me parallels between what was happening in Scientology and the Sea Org, and trafficking, domestic abuse, and he showed me those parallels without forcing it down my throat, like, hey, you're in a cult.
Yeah.
Never said that to me.
Good thing he didn't.
And he never even said, "Oh, wow, Scientology sounds like they're trafficking people," because I would have gone like, no, no, that's not what's going on. That's not what's going on. I would have stopped talking to him. So he had to very gently be like, when people are trafficked, this is what happens. So and so happens. Or, in a domestic abuse situation, so and so happens. Like, I'll give you an example. So in Scientology, there's something called, you probably heard this before, ethics conditions.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of that? Okay, so the ethics conditions are these steps that you can supposedly follow when you are trying to, well, for example, make a decision about something. Like, say you're in an abusive relationship and you're like, I think I should get out of this, or you're in a gang, or you have some situation in your life where you're like, I need to reevaluate this for real. So there's something called the doubt formula on the ethics conditions. And it's these steps that you supposedly follow, and at the end of it, you'll come to the right decision, right? But here's the catch. So, excuse me.
You're good.
So I was talking earlier about the dynamics and the greater good, and choosing the greatest good for the greatest number of dynamics, right? Mm-hmm. So in the doubt formula, there's a thing where you're like, where you make the decision based off of the greatest good for the greatest number of dynamics. But it always leads back to, if you're trying to make that decision about staying in Scientology or not, it's always going to lead back to staying in Scientology. Yeah. You're never gonna come to the conclusion that you should leave Scientology. Absolutely. And so I was telling him about this doubt formula, right? And he was, and there's also a step on there where you announce your intentions to the group that you're leaving, type thing, right?
Oh my God.
He's like, what do you think would happen if you were in a domestic abuse situation and you told your abuser you were leaving?
Oh my God. That happens in treatment. Keep them in treatment. That's like when I saw you say, I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, it's like, don't go. You bet you're not going. Because at first I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna leave the Sea Org, but I'm gonna do it the quote right way, which is like, you route out, you tell somebody that you want to leave, and they put you on this little, they start this little form, and there's all these steps you're supposed to do, and there's all this stuff you're supposed to do before you can leave, and it usually takes months and months. And in my case, they would have sent me back to LA. They would have interrogated me, about my mom, because they knew about that connection, about all sorts of things. And they would have tried to persuade me to stay, because guess what? I've been in Sea Org for 26 years at that point. Yeah. So they would have been like, you don't really want to leave. You don't really want to leave. Yeah. Right? Yeah. You stay. Yeah. Wow. You're a Scientologist. You're a Sea Org member. Wow. And that's what would have happened. And I knew that that's what would happen. So I never told anybody that I was thinking about leaving, or that I had any doubts whatsoever, because that was the one thing that I held on to, was, if I'm going to leave, I'm going to make the decision to leave myself. It's going to be my decision. And if I've come to that point, it's going to be my decision. It's not going to be anyone else's decision. No one's going to persuade me. If I'm going to go, I'm going to go, and I'm really going to decide. So I was at that point for a while, but there was nothing to like push me over that point, right? So I was just kind of like, should I go? Should I stay, or should I go now? No. Yeah. Oh my God. I was at that point for so long, and then I started watching all these interviews on YouTube and all this stuff about Scientology that I didn't know. There was this video about comparing Scientology to the Matrix, actually, from a certain person. That was a really good video. And I was like, wow, that is Scientology like the Matrix. What's that? That's interesting. I did one about addiction related to the Matrix. Oh yeah. That's wild. I never thought about that. I guess that makes sense. It's like, that's okay. Yeah. I got you. Yeah. And I saw that and I'm like, oh my God. And then in that video, or maybe it was in another video, but there was another one where it was like, I found out that there were no levels above OT8, which is that's a huge thing.
for
Wait, what?
Scientologists.
So they think that there's more?
So yeah, they think that it goes up to on their chart, it goes up to like 15, but supposedly there's more after that. But in
Okay.
writing, it goes up to 15. But the services actually end at 8. There isn't anything, nobody can take any services above OT8 right now. But what they have been saying, ever since I've been in Scientology, they've been saying they're going to release OT9 and 10. And this is a huge, huge thing for Scientologists. There's Scientologists that have paid a lot, like thousands of dollars for those levels for when they come out to do them. They've done like all this stuff and donated all this money, and everyone's like waiting for these to come out, but they actually don't exist. And when I heard that the person who said they didn't exist is the original person who worked with L. Ron Hubbard on those levels and on all his technology and auditing and stuff, he's the one who said it. I believed it. I was like, wow, that's huge.
So you're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, like if they're lying about those levels not existing, what else are they lying about?
Oh yeah. Like, oh my God. So then what did you find?
Huge. So then I found some stuff, and this was a real decision point for me. There's something called the Truth Rundown in Scientology, which is basically just gaslighting you. It's gaslighting you. It's auditing, but it's total gaslighting, because they try to tell you that what you saw, like say you saw David Miscavige like punch somebody or something, or push somebody, or you saw some other executive like just screaming at somebody, or just doing something that's like this is bad. This is bad stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But they say, like in this rundown, they say if that's what you say that you saw, the reason why you saw that was because you have committed an overt, like you have done bad things, and so you're seeing that about that executive, but that's not actually what you're seeing. You're not seeing that. That didn't happen.
God, that's
and crazy. They try to get you to say, oh no, I didn't actually see that. It was because I did so and so against that executive or whatever. And I'm like,
whoa.
Wow.
That's
like I am never, and I remember thinking when I saw this, oh, and they keep that confidential about the Truth Rundown, by the way. Not everybody, unless you've done it, you don't know what it is.
Jesus.
So that got me thinking, and I'm like, I am never going to agree with anybody that what I saw or what I experienced is not what I experienced. I'm never going to agree to that. Wow. So then that really like loosened something up for me, where it was like, wow, well, that means that there's a part of auditing that I will never do. I will never agree to do. That's a huge thing, because if you're a Scientologist Sea Org member, you're supposed to be getting auditing, moving up to like the state of clear and operating pain and all this stuff. You're supposed to do whatever your auditor or your case supervisor says you're going to do. You agree to do it. If you're going to refuse auditing, that's a huge thing. So I was like, okay, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to agree to do that. And they especially do it on people who have been exposed to like black PR about Scientology or about Miscavige and all this stuff, right? So they would want to do that on me.
The truth, right? The truth. Yeah. If they've been exposed to the truth, it's like, oh hell no. Oh my God. Yeah.
So then, okay, so there's nothing after OT8. There's no OT9 and 10, and I'm not going to do the Truth Rundown. And I don't want to. I don't want to get interrogated before I leave. I'm not going to submit to interrogations. I actually managed to avoid their interrogations for like 20 years.
Wow.
That's what I got was in I think it was 1998 or something. And I got all these. I had all these recommendations when I got like justice or whatever. I get in trouble, and they have like recommendations you do. And I had all these things like several times saying she is to get such and such security check interrogation, right? Like that was part of it. And then everybody just forgot about it, and I never got it. So I avoided it for years on purpose, because I'm like, I can't stand this. This is just awful. Wow. So I'm like, but if you tell them that you want to leave, they're going to be like, okay, you're going to get a sec check before you go and blah, blah, blah. And mine would have been extensive because of the connection to my mom. And if they would have found out that I was talking to a non-Scientologist
Right.
about various things about the Sea Org and Scientology and stuff, because I was telling them all kinds of stuff and watching these videos and all this stuff. Oh my God, I can't imagine.
Oh my God, you would have been done.
Yeah, exactly.
So before you go on, I want you to talk about disconnection, because that gets you like isolated, right? You're not supposed to talk to people that are declared, right?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So if somebody's declared, that's like the ultimate in like justice or whatever towards the Scientologists or from. So yeah, they are only supposed to talk to the what's called the international justice chief, and that's only to do the steps that they're supposed to do to get back in good standing with the church. They're not supposed to talk to any Scientologists. No Scientologists are supposed to talk to them. And if you do, it'd be like, what? You're talking to a declared suppressive person? Like, what's wrong with you? What's that?
It's like you're in trouble, girl.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, so why? Like, do you want to leave Scientology? Do you do you have bad intentions towards Scientology, or do you have bad intentions towards Miscavige? Like stuff. Yeah.
Dear leader. Oh my gosh.
Right. Exactly.
Whoo. Okay.
Right.
So that's like your family, like, so that's why you had to disconnect from them, like back in 2007 or after.
Yeah.
8?
And that was mainly because they put my mom specifically put things publicly on the internet against Scientology and said public things against Scientology. So then it's like, nope, we're going to declare her. Yeah.
So once they declared you an enemy, you better stay away from people, right? Okay.
Yep.
Or else you're in trouble.
Yeah. Exactly.
So then what happened? This is wild. So
I was watching things on the internet on and off since like 2008, 2009, which is when I disconnected from my mom in end of 2008. And I was just keeping an eye on stuff, various things, and a lot happened in that time in the Sea Org and stuff, but whatever. So then I got sent to Columbus in 2019. Because they had somehow determined, before that, I never moved anywhere, and it was because of my there was a few times where I was like, I really want to go and work in this or that capacity, like I'm an artist and stuff, so I'm like I want to go work here or there or whatever, and they're like, no, sorry, they wouldn't let me do anything except work in the kitchen because of my mom. Wow. So, which I ended up kind of liking. I mean, it was, aside from the physical whatever, I try to make things good for the staff. I did Thanksgiving dinners and Christmas and decorations, and I tried to do cool stuff for the staff because I'm like, because you see everybody and you're like, everyone's tired and people are upset, and you try to do something nice so they have something to enjoy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Were you guys, did they teach you to be scared of us then? People on the outside? What do they call us, wogs or something?
Yeah. That's definitely
of course it's going to be hard to help somebody to get out if they're scared.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, you're scared. Well, you're more kind of scared of the like suppressive people, like the definite suppressives. As far as just like normal people, what you think of normal people is okay. There's this one thing where it's like, well, everyone's a Scientologist. They just haven't discovered. They just haven't realized it yet, because you're trying to get people into Scientology. You're trying to get people to read books, Scientology books, Dynamics. You're trying to get people to come into the org, do courses, do auditing, go up the bridge, because to you, that's what's gonna make their life good, or it's gonna handle their problems, It's going to handle whatever is bad in their life and make it better. It's going to take the good things and make it better. And to you, it's like, that's what people should do. You think that you're helping people.
Yeah.
That's why
Wow.
when I see people yelling at staff that they're, oh, you're in a cult, you know that you're scamming people, and you know it's all a big scam. No, they don't.
Right.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
It's not like they're thinking. It's not like they're thinking like a scammer is thinking in a scam call center or something, where it's like, you know, you're ripping people off, but you have to live and whatever. This is like your job type thing. No, they're thinking they're helping people. They think that they're helping people.
Right.
The
So
people that know that it's a scam are up towards the top,
right.
like Miscavige and people that know, the ones that know that there's nothing after OTA, the ones that know that you know that
Look.
or realize that, you know, the truth rundown is just gaslighting people. Like there are people who realize that it's bullshit, but the general staff member that's down there just trying to like, hey, do you want to come and take a personality test? Like they think that they're helping people, otherwise they wouldn't be there.
Right, of course. Yeah. And so look at what Joe Springs said. It makes her insane too when they scream at those people. They're going to create lifelong Scientologists. That's the first thing I thought.
And it's true. Like, yeah, when I was in the Sea Org and I was in LA and I would see people like this, like when I saw the anonymous people, I was like, these people are crazy.
Yeah.
These people are nuts. They're nuts. I'm never going to go talk to these people. They're crazy.
Yeah, and they're aggressive, and they're this, and they're dangerous, and well, this is, it relates to, like, you know, the mechanism of change. Like when I'm trying to help someone get clean and sober, it reminded me so much of like seeing someone yelling at someone, like in a like in the cult or whatever, and it's just like, it makes no sense to me because you're pushing them farther away, and like wouldn't anybody that's been in Scientology know that? Wouldn't that be common sense to them?
Yes.
That's not a good idea.
It should be. Like, to me, it should be. But some people are at different stages in their recovery. And some people are really, really angry. They're really angry about what happened to them in Scientology, about what Scientology is doing.
Right.
Some people, I understand, are angry about children taking Scientology services or children being audited. And yeah, that's rightfully so. But you're not but yelling at the parents of those children or whatever is not going to make them go, oh, maybe I should not take my kid to do their course to go on course today. They're not going to think like that. They think that it's the best thing ever. And there's basic things in Scientology and some of the basic courses and stuff aren't like directly harmful. They're like, they might help you with some little thing, like there's a course you can take to improve your finances and just like basic things, or basic communication, like, you know, listen to people and talk to people and whatever. There's basic things that are sort of okay, but then if you stay in, the more you do, the more it gets to be like controlling every aspect of your life, getting you to, you know, take out another mortgage on your house so you can pay for your OT levels and or donate to the next, you know, quote, ideal organization or whatever. It just, yeah. The more you're in, the more it's really, it takes control of your life and tries to take all your money.
Well, and that's,
it's just bad news.
That's why I'm glad you said that, because I mean, wouldn't the maximum effort and the ultimate win would be to help people get out?
Yes.
As far as the movement goes, that would be the ultimate thing, right?
Yeah, and a big thing would be if Congress decided to tell the IRS to not have the tax exemption status anymore. But that has to come from Congress. That's not like a local thing that gets decided. It was like it was a fluke that they got tax exemption. It was really a fluke. It was really like the head of the IRS at the time was just like, I'm just tired of this nonsense,
getting bullied,
fine,
right?
I'm just gonna do it. Yeah, but to undo it, I'm almost positive that it has to come from Congress.
Wow, that's
So
wild.
yeah,
Joe is this
yeah,
is like, that's how you help people. So that's why, like, I don't do the tough love approach when I'm trying to help anybody see anything, because just like, you know, when people in politics argue, you're not changing their mind by yelling at them. Like,
yeah,
if you want to change my mind, let's have a conversation. If you want to, you know, if you really wanted to help, then, you
yeah.
know, that's what we do.
Yeah, like that's why I even started a channel. I started a channel so that I can reach people that I still know that are in Scientology and
Right.
specifically in the Sea Org. I know a lot of Sea Org members in LA, and if anyone's happens to be watching me right now, yeah, you should take a look at what I'm saying. I'm going to put a lot of stuff on my channel. I'm going to put links to various things that help me to get out. I really want to help those people to get out. Like anyone is free to contact me. Whether you know me or not, you're free to contact me if you need help getting out of Scientology, or
Right.
you just need someone to talk to, or you just want to say, hey, I've been thinking about stuff. You're perfectly free to contact me. I already helped somebody that way, by the way, which is awesome.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's
Because, and it was just because he saw my interviews that I did, like the first interviews I did, and he was like, oh my God, I know her. And he contacted me through one of the people that interviewed me, and I helped him get out.
good
Just
for
by,
you.
like I was a person who he could talk to and connect up with. Like he connected up to the Aftermath Foundation, and
Good for
yeah,
you.
it was great. And I was like, I want to do more of this.
Doesn't it feel good? It's like the ultimate thing you can do.
Yeah.
That's, you know, because it's helping other people. So
yeah, it's fantastic. I love it.
oh, there was something I was going to ask you too. Okay, so then what else was I going to ask you? Damn it, I don't remember. What were we talking about? Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Before
So
we segued like 18 times. I don't
yeah, sorry.
know, I'm lost.
But so no, we were talking about the protesting and stuff. And so really truly helping someone, it seems like that's what's working, is a gentle approach. That's what works for me.
Yeah.
And I will try to like say it, and people argue with me about what's effective on helping others, get them to see your side. And it's not yelling. It's not bullying.
Yeah.
It's not doing this and doing that. What about, so you want to answer some of these questions?
Sure. Yeah.
Go to the top.
I have oh, look, I have some people on my channel watching my live.
Yeah. Can you see my comments too?
People. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't know if I can see star. I don't think I can see.
No, I don't think that. I think only the star ones. I don't know. I don't even know. So okay, so
let's see. Let me go through this.
Let me go down.
Oh, somebody asked me, how did I break my contract?
My
contract early? Contact. They say contact, but I think it means contract.
Because you weren't there for a billion years, right?
Yeah, because I wasn't there for a billion years. How did I do it? I walked out.
Yeah. Oh my God. You just walked out. That's what we forgot. Oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm like,
oh, it's okay. It's okay. There's a lot to say about it. I was there for a long time. So there's a lot to say about things.
So you were in Columbus though when you left, right?
Yeah, I was in Columbus, and I was talking to my wonderful friend who I'm now engaged to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So long story short, we basically we met right as I was getting into Scientology, but before I had gone to Portland. We met when I was in high school. I became friends with his sister, then I met him, and we were friends, very, very good friends for the brief time that I was that we were around each other. Wow. And then we lost contact when I went up to Portland. We lost contact, and then I joined the Sea Org and went to LA, and I lost contact with any of my old friends, and so we didn't talk to each other up until April 2020.
Wow.
And I made this illegal Facebook account, and I reached out and I sent him a message, and he answered me.
That's amazing.
I said, is this the person who went to high school at this place? And he was like, yes. Is this me? And said, yeah. And then we just started talking, and basically we haven't stopped talking. So
oh my God, that is so special. Look at Maria. Wow, she wonderful. Found a prince while on a cult. Congrats. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's really
cool. And he did an amazing job. And we were like, I contacted him as a friend. You know what I mean? I was like, this is one of my old friends. He was really cool, and I like to talk to him. And then we just started talking. And when he found out that I was still in Scientology, he was like, oh, I hope she's not a kook type thing, right? Yeah. And then he found out that then he started looking up things on Scientology, and without telling me, he didn't say like, oh my God, I found this thing on Scientology and this thing, because I would have gone like, oh no, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Right. He didn't tell me any of that. He just talked to me, and it was very gentle, getting me like I said earlier about, he made parallels to trafficking and domestic abuse situations and various forms of abuse. And I had already been thinking that I was unhappy. I couldn't figure out what I really wanted to do in the Sea Org. And I was just so unhappy. And I really wanted to do something creative, because I'm an artist, I'm a photographer. And I couldn't do any of that in the Sea Org.
Wow. And
we just kept talking, and I kept watching various videos and talking to him and telling him how I felt about things, and just having somebody to tell how I was feeling and everything that was going on was like, it was amazing, because he had no vested, like, he had never been in Scientology, never been in Sea Org. So it wasn't like talking to somebody. Like, I couldn't talk to anyone in the Sea Org, any of my friends in the Sea Org, and say, hey, I'm having these problems, because they just, report me or try to handle me or whatever. And so talking to someone that had never been associated with any of that, who just cared about me as me, was amazing. And I just kept talking to him, and then he was trying to figure out how to help me if I wanted to just leave, if he could help me. But it wasn't like, I didn't have a place to go, really, because I hadn't talked to my mom in 12 years. I hadn't talked to my sister. I didn't want to bother my 90-year-old grandmother, be like, oh, can I come and stay with you? Like, I didn't know where to go. I was like, where am I going to go? Wow. And so he was trying to figure that out, if he could help me, or if he could come pick me up or something. Wow. And then he found the Aftermath Foundation, and the Aftermath Foundation, as soon as I got connected up with them, I spoke to Mark, and Mark is like, well, just tell me what you need. Like, if you want a plane ticket, we can get you a plane ticket. If you want someone to pick you up, we can get someone to pick you up. Like,
oh, your mic just went out. You might have pulled the cord or something. Look at the back of it. Maybe that pulled out. No. Uh-oh. See if, oh, turn it on. Press the on button and see. Did it come out of your computer? Can't hear you. Go on the thing, on the actual thing, and press the button, the on one, and hold it down like you were doing earlier. Maybe call out. Maybe Alex, are you there? No. Oh, wait, look. Oh my gosh, I see what it is. Okay, so you muted yourself on the screen. That's what it is. Look at your little picture. Just unmute it. My bad. I should have figured that out sooner than that. So it's, your microphone's on, but look, Katherine, look on your StreamYard. Yeah. Look on your StreamYard where your little picture is in the corner. click on the microphone button. See it? Where it says unmute, and it'll say unmute mic. Okay. Do you see what I'm talking about on the screen? So look at the screen in the left, the little boxes of us. See your little box next to mine, underneath? See the microphone there? Click it. There's like a line through it. Now click that. It says I can't unmute you. It says you have to mute it. Okay, so do this. It won't let me unmute her. It says that she's chose to mute herself. Hold on, I'm gonna pull you out. No, it's still okay. See the little picture of you underneath? Okay, I guess she's gonna call Alex Farley. Yeah. Faucet Cat did it. Yeah, see here, I'm gonna send you a picture of the. Oh my gosh, there you go. We are so funny right now. Okay. Oh, it froze too. See where I put the little mouse and then it says unmute mic? I sent you a picture. Look at your Facebook. Now she's frozen. Shit. Oh, you're back. What is interbulated? Is it when Lindsay's acting wild? Do you see the button? I'm going to look at some of the questions too so that we can, while she's doing that. You got this, girl. You got this. You got this. See where that little microphone is? In the right-hand corner of the little box. Now look at the bottom where it says mute. There's another thing there that should work. Just click on mute. Alex, can you call her? Because now it's not working. She's frozen. Hold on. No, if I leave, I don't know if it'll. To agitate or disturb, to upset, harass. Oh, that's cool. Okay, I'm going to tell her to go back in that link. Okay, she's rebooting. What are you guys saying here, you guys? There's so much. Okay, thanks, Alex. No, I think she accidentally muted herself. I kept doing that when I was doing lives with Adam. Oh, let's see here. Peace Dog said just giving her some love over here too. Oh, that we're washing up? Oh, she already answered that one. Greetings from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Kakalaki. Sending you love, Catherine from Minnesota. Aw. I showed her how to, I told her that she can do a replay of the comments to look at them too. Okay, let me star this puppy. Okay, I starred that one so she can answer. Greetings from Argentina. Woo woo. You guys are funny. Yeah. You guys, it reminds me of addiction so much. Like it's crazy. Okay. Ooh, Peace Dog says, I'm against the elder abuse and I'm focusing on that activism right now. Good. That's awesome. Move your focus to something different or just recognize what is causing the extreme discomfort. Peace. There are so many older people in Scientology that need help right now. Oh, we showed this. I'm going to star this question, okay? Ooh. If you continue to shame them, that's doing the children will never get out. I can't say you're wrong. Peace Dog agree. Oh, there she is.
I think I'm back.
Yes. Okay, I starred 2 of them for you to answer.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
You did great. So here's the first question. Did you get to Columbus on your own dime or did they give you a plane ticket? I would hope that they paid for that shit.
1 second.
But I'm not surprised if not.
No. They paid for it, but you know what they did is they instead of letting me fly into Columbus, you know, like there's an airport in Columbus, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of letting me fly into Columbus, they flew me to Pittsburgh. Then we had to, and then there was a van that was doing runs from Pittsburgh to Columbus of people so that they could save something about saving money or getting us there as soon as possible or something, whatever. It was so stupid.
Yeah, some nonsense.
They're ridiculous. They're so ridiculous. Just the stupid shit they do.
Question: how long had your life been totally controlled before you realized your life was totally controlled? When
29 years, basically.
Yeah. So did you have any kind of suspicion or thoughts up until
I did because I knew that, you know, they can like take away your devices at any time. They can see all your internet use. They can go and search your room if they want to find any weird things, whatever they're looking for. Like,
wow.
They can interrogate you for as long as they want, you know, throw you in a room and interrogate you until you say what they want you to say, which I had to do several times. But you think that it's all being done to help you achieve a higher state of awareness, because it's like, well, if you take responsibility for what you've done wrong and you
did you pull the there you go.
Oh.
It does it to me. It's because you're touching the microphone somehow. The warrior. When I touch it,
also the connection into my mic is really loose for some reason. I've hardly even used it. It's acting like it. Anyway.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the more you do, the more you're sucked in. Like it's it's a frog being boiled slowly.
Yeah, that's so true. That frog,
like you start out in cold water and it just turn up and up and up and up and up, and before you know it, it's like, yeah, you're completely controlled. And they say, give me your phone, and you hand over your phone, and you're not going to get it back. Oh, okay.
So do they give you phones, or like, how is that? I didn't even know that.
Okay, so the thing on phones goes, it it changes all the time, kind of. But what they did now is if you're on a Sea Org base, they have like a network. They have like org phones that they can they restrict your internet use. They can see all your texts. They can see all your calls. They can see everything that you do on an org phone.
Wow.
In Columbus, and only people who actually need a phone are given a phone. Like, it's like not everybody can have a phone. It's like an extensive like approval process you have to go through. So, but in Columbus, it was different because we didn't have that system. We weren't on a Sea Org base, and a lot of people had phones. Like the HR division, which is called HCO. It's the same as HR. They would heavily control who had a phone and whatever, right? But especially when we were on lockdown, where it's like you were stuck in the apartment, all you could do is, if you had a phone, you could do something. If you didn't have a phone, you know, what are you going to do? So a lot of people at that point had bought phones and bought plans for their phone, and so they could actually do a job and do some work. And so I bought my own phone, my own plan, and everything.
If COVID hadn't happened and you hadn't been in that position, right, that might not have had the chance to do that, because someone
I might still be there. I might still be there, because if I would have never reached out to John,
right, made that Facebook, right?
Yeah. If I never made Facebook, never reached out to anybody, it's like having somebody to talk to like that is so important, because otherwise it's everything's rattling around in your own head, and try to come to a decision, and the cognitive dissonance and justification or rationalization of things just kind of prevent you. And it's really hard to get over that. It's really hard to come to a decision where it's like, I'm just going to leave.
Right. Of course. Well, it's like
their way.
Like you just said, the defense mechanisms. And then it's all, that's why therapists and counselors, like their job is to just like listen, kind of like a friend, right? Like you're saying, they hold space for you. And so when you get out of your brain and you hear yourself say it, or you get feedback and it like comes off, you're like, oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah.
So that's the isolation thing, I think, too.
Exactly.
Like, it's important.
Wow. Exactly. And you're not supposed to tell people what I told him. Like, I told him when my phone got taken, because I was so mad, because I was just mad because I had paid for the phone with my own money, and I paid for my own plan, and it was the only way I could do anything, like as far as my job is concerned. I'm like, I need to have internet access, I need to have a phone if I'm going to do any work while we're locked in our rooms. And I was so mad. I was like, and then they didn't want to give it back to me. Oh, you don't need a phone.
You were talking to him? Is that why they took it?
No, they didn't know I was talking to him.
Oh, because
they took it because, okay, so I talked about how I got surgery, right? I had my gallbladder removed in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
So I got surgery, and I had my phone during that, and I was talking to various people in LA. I was talking to friends of mine in LA. I was like all freaked out. I was in the hospital by myself. Nobody was let in because of COVID, or one person could come with you for like an hour. And I was all freaked out. I was in pain. I hadn't slept in like several days. And so I was talking to some friends in LA. And then after my surgery, when I was recovering, I was talking to some people, and like, when you like feel like you almost have like a near death experience, and you're like, I want to talk to my friends. And and so I've been talking to people, and I didn't. And then when my phone was taken, they saw that I was talking to people in LA, and it's like, well, you're talking to all these people in LA, and you're just being slack, and you don't need to be talking to these people anymore, and because you're here. And I was like, seriously? Like, I did not think they were going to take it and keep it. You don't need to have a phone. I was like,
so how did you get back? Did you buy a new one?
I had an iPod. So this little thing, this is actually the exact one.
Nice.
So, yeah. And this you can connect to Wi-Fi. You can use it like a phone if you have like Text Now or whatever.
I don't even know. I've never had an iPod. I never had one of them.
Yeah, I've had several because we weren't allowed to have phones, but you could have an iPod.
Wow.
Which is subject to inspection. But I had a few of them, and I had some that I didn't use so much anymore over the years. Yeah. And so this one I kept with me, and I didn't really letting one know that I had it type thing. So that it was like, oh, everyone's supposed to turn in their devices. I would take an old one and just turn in my old one. And,
oh my gosh, yeah.
yeah. So that's actually how I got out, was with an iPod.
That's amazing. Your roommate that was reading 1984, not connecting the dots to Scientology. I'm surprised that there isn't more restriction on books. Yeah. Well, because you were not in. You had more.
There's restrictions. Right? There's restrictions on some books, like anti-Scientology or whatever books like that. There's restrictions on. I'm not sure why they don't. I guess they'll probably restrict 1984 now, but.
Oh shit.
But also they get lazy about stuff too. It's like, because there were some points over the years before they put in this whole cell phone system on the bases. There was points over the years where it's like all of a sudden, like everybody had a cell phone. Like it was so easy to get a cell phone, and you had a cell phone, and like almost everyone had one. And then it was like too many people have cell phones, and they take away all the phones and be like, okay, you have to get reapproval to have a cell phone. And the same thing with devices. Like they'd be like, everyone turn in their devices, they're going to get inspected. And everybody would like everyone would turn their devices and all this stuff, and then you get it back, and then it creep back in, and then they wouldn't inspect or do anything with them for like months and months and months. And then out of the blue, it'd be like turning your devices again, just stuff like that. What is that? 1 second, I need to close my door. 1 second.
You guys, it's like prison, but we had like the little iPod thingies.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So now I haven't. Okay. So I am really hoping that somebody leaves from someplace in LA soon, because I want to know like what the restrictions are now. I want to know what they're doing now. Like, I wonder if they're allowing the devices or not, or they're just, tighter on the inspections or whatever after all this, because it was really easy for me to just keep it concealed. And
well, hopefully, yeah, because then how would they be able to call like a foundation or anything and to do that unless they had those, right? And like
exactly.
That's the only real way,
but
right?
You can only restrict people so much. It's like, yeah, you can do all this stuff, but people will, as I did, people will find a way. If they really want to, they'll find a way.
That's great, man, that you were able to do that, though. I'm glad that he called.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, we were just texting for the longest time, actually. We were only texting. We only talked once in a while. We were mostly texting.
So okay, yeah. So I want to talk about, so when you got out, how was that adjusting? Did you have to learn basic living skills?
There's things that come up all the time that I just have no idea about. I mean, somebody commented like, somebody made a comment, I don't remember, on something like, how did I get an ID and how did I get a driver's license and all this? Okay, so you're allowed to have driver's license in the Sea Org. You can even learn how to drive a car if you want to take the time somehow out of your own time to do it. You can do that. A lot of people drive. A lot of people have licenses. Some people never bothered. I just never bothered. I just didn't do it. Oh my God, it started raining really hard. Wow. Anyway.
I saw Claire taught you how to drive. That's cool.
Yeah, that was fun. So, but I had a like a state, you can get, just like you can get a state issued driver's license, you can have a state issued ID card, and a lot of people have that, like a state ID card. And then you just go and you do driving school and you learn how to drive and you get a license and get a car.
That's wild. So, but then if you had a car and you're in the Sea Org, like, how do they keep track of you?
Oh.
Like, you've gone astray. What are they gonna do?
Well, because okay, so if you're in the Sea Org, you have what's called muster, and you have that like 3 times a day. Like, everyone has to come in at a certain time. You have muster where everybody's together, everyone's accounted for. Then you work for a couple hours or whatever. You're on, or you go and study, or mostly you work, and then you usually have one in the afternoon after lunch, and again everyone's accounted for, and again after dinner. And they keep track of you. Plus, there's security. If you're on a Sea Org base, there's security, and there's like the front desk. Like you can walk out of the building, but if you're going to go and like get in your car and drive away, chances are security is going to see you, and they're going to be like, "What are you doing?" So
so you kind of have to escape, right? Like, it's like escaping.
Yeah, and not very many people have cars. Like that's gone under much more control too. Like it's like you're not supposed to have like a personal car, or you're not supposed to use your personal car for org business. Like, okay, fine. If you somehow have the money to have a personal car, which is really hard to do in Sea Org, especially paying insurance and whatever and gas, and if you somehow have that, you have to keep that like at the berthing and use it on your day off type thing. Like you're not supposed to drive to the org. You're supposed to take the bus, blah, blah, blah.
How would anybody afford that if they don't pay you that much money?
Some people could. Some people really? Some people had, a few people had cars, and it was mostly, it was either they had money from an inheritance, or their parents had money, or they had money before they were in the Sea Org and they still had money, stuff like that. So, yeah. So a couple people did. OT powers.
What did you get up to? What was?
I didn't get very far actually. I actually didn't get that far. I had like I've studied more than I've gotten auditing. I got up to like I was actually the auditing. This is really funny, and this will be funny to anyone who's watching who's an ex-Scientologist. The auditing I was doing at the time that I blew. So it was called grade 2. That's just whatever. It doesn't mean anything. It's just called grade 2. So, and what you're addressing on that is you're addressing bad things that you've done in your life, overs and withholds, right? So it would be logical on grade 2. So while I was getting this auditing, I was talking to my friend. And I was like watching all these videos and stuff while I was getting not while I was getting the auditing, but I would
like around the time.
Yeah, around at the same time. And I never talked about any of that because I knew I'd get in trouble. And I just in my own mind, I was like, this is not this is not something bad. This is helping me make a decision. So it didn't come up in the auditing, and I didn't speak about it in the auditing, and I didn't like do anything to make myself suspicious or anything where it's like we're going to interrogate you further, because I was like, no, this is great. I mean, I'm coming to my own decision about things. So
that's important, right? Because like maybe that did plant a seed when your mom and sister did that, but it's like your own process, and you have to kind of go through that. That's wild.
you have to come to your own decision about things, and it has to be like, people can help you, and especially if you have someone who you can talk to often and you can bounce things off of and stuff. It's so important, but you have to come to that you have to break through that final hurdle, or get over the final hurdle, break through the final barrier on your own. Like you have to take that step. And that's what I finally did, because I talked to Mark from the foundation, and when he was like, well, what do you need? And I'm like, wow, no one's ever asked me that before. He's like, what do you need? Where do you want to go? I'm like, I haven't been asked that in a very, very long time. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you need? I don't know.
Wow.
So, and then they got me a plane ticket, and they got a volunteer to pick me up. They actually, like, I was actually trusted to like go around the city and stuff by myself, doing promo and selling books and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was by myself a lot, and I was in Columbus, and I was by I used to go to the Ohio State University a lot. And if anyone knows the Ohio State University, the campus like takes up like half the city practically.
Really?
Not really, but it's a huge campus, hundreds of buildings. You can just walk into any of the buildings.
Wow.
So hang out there all the time and like do promo, hand out promo. And I would go in and put like posters on their bulletin boards and stuff. I would just walk around the campus doing the stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And the campus has free Wi-Fi all around the campus. So with my little trusty iPod, I was able to watch things and talk to people and text and do all sorts of things while I was on that campus. So then when the day I left, I went to that campus to do promo, and I told, so they got a volunteer to pick me up, and she actually took me to the apartments, and I packed a bunch of my stuff. I decided to risk it and do that because I didn't want to leave all my stuff behind, right?
Yeah.
So I packed a bunch of stuff. I stole my roommate's suitcase, which I sent her money for, and I took a bunch of stuff with me, and she took everything to the car, and so nobody would see me leaving the suitcases. And then she took me to the airport, and oh, that's funny. Sorry, I just saw someone's comment on Ohio State. It's not Ohio State. It's the Ohio State. Yeah, that's right. It's the Ohio State.
I see that.
Anyway,
that's right, baby. Pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So then, so they got me a plane ticket. So then I flew to Denver. I stayed there for a while. I stayed with Mark and Claire. They're fantastic, very caring people. They really give a shit about people and about helping people. And they're really good friends of mine. And I went up to Minnesota and I visited family I hadn't seen in like 20 years and hung out there for a while. And then I went over to Oregon to see my mom and my sister. And then I went back to Denver and proceeded with learning how to drive. I got my own apartment, got a job. That was great. Yeah.
Oh my God. Isn't that the best feeling ever? It's like you're doing it on your own.
It was amazing. I mean, I was like in a state of shock for like several months, for a while, actually. I felt really weird. I just felt weird. I don't even know how to describe it.
Were you like scared that you might be trapped again or at some point, or?
I was at first I was scared of connecting with anybody from the foundation because they were big bad SPs. But then when I met them and when I started talking to them as people, I was like, oh my God, these people are great. They're such nice people. They're not evil people. You know what I mean? Like when you're in Scientology or when you're in the Sea Org, you think like, oh, SPs, they're just nasty. They're just trying to use you, blah, blah, blah. And you learn that that's not true. And that's like, oh my God. So like, I was so wrong. Oh my God, I was so wrong about people.
Wow.
And it's just the people you meet in the real world. It's like, you just meet so many good people. There's so many good people in the world.
Yeah.
And there's so many like, you know, professional people and just people who know what they're doing and who understand things and who are trained on real things, not just Scientology shit. You know what I mean? and it's just amazing meeting people and connecting with people. I really love it. It's great.
So cool. Well, that helped you to, you said that kind of is a big thing that helped you to kind of when you got out to like, just like acclimate, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Just being around people. And of course I had my wonderful friend who I'm now engaged to, and I was talking to him the whole time. And then things happened from there, and we live together now. We're getting married in a month.
So cool. In a month? Oh my God, that's so cool.
Yeah, I know. I have a lot of stuff. I have so much to do. That's another reason why I haven't done any more videos. I'm like, I'm doing all the planning, organizing, and everything myself.
Girl.
So I'm like,
go get married in Vegas like I did.
No.
I didn't plan nothing.
Actually, I did get married in Las Vegas. I was married for a little while when I was married for a couple of years. Yeah.
Oh shit.
I got married in 1995, and then I got divorced in 1998.
It's about the same amount of time I was married, I think.
Yeah, that was.
Who knows?
Because in order to do anything in the Sea Org, you have to get married. So you either just stay friends and you talk to them once in a while, or you get married and you're, you know.
Yeah, that's wild. How much were you getting in Columbus per week?
$47.
Woo!
Plus the we all got the stimulus check, which was cool.
Oh shit!
I was like almost the most money I've ever had at one time.
When you were handing out leaflets, did you have an idea if people joined from them? And if they did, were you given any compensation or a bonus?
I definitely didn't get any compensation for that. There were definitely a few people that came in from that. It wasn't anything spectacular. Like I handed out thousands and thousands of stuff, thousands of pieces of promo, and there's hardly anything that come in. That was the other thing that made me start thinking, I'm like, why aren't people coming in? Like, what am I doing? And then I would get in trouble because I was in charge of promotion and getting people in. So it's like, well, why isn't your promo why aren't you getting people in with your promotion? Like,
so it's your fault because nobody wants to join.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Basically, yeah.
Sounds about right. Let me see. Volunteer their time. Time is precious. Only someone with a good heart does it. Oh, how much? Oh wait, you answered that question.
Oh,
you said you were not clear, right? You said you didn't get that.
No, I didn't get to clear. Actually, when I saw, I found out what the clear cognition was when I was poking around on any of the stuff online, and that was another thing that made me go like, yeah, that's it. That's all that is. Like when you get to clear, that's you realize something, and I was like, right. I'm unimpressed. Could you fool the e-meter? Anybody can fool the e-meter. It's just the only I don't fully understand why it works, but a lot of why it works is because people think that it works.
I would say.
I think that more of it is the person on the other side of the e-meter asking you questions, because I know when I got auditing, and if I like the person who I was talking to, and if they talk to me a certain way, and I like them more, and I like talking to them, I would say more. And if I didn't, I wouldn't say stuff. And like I was talking about, I was getting this auditing when I was watching all these videos and stuff. Yeah. And none of it came up, and there was an e-meter being used, and my needle was floating, which means there's nothing there. So it
doesn't work.
It's like I think it's a combination of like, whatever affects the e-meter and your own consideration about it, because you think that it's doing something, but it's not really. Yeah,
it makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm sure I fooled the e-meter. I'm sure I did, but the thing is, I wasn't even particularly trying to. I don't think. I was just like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about that. Just thinking to myself, I don't need to talk about that, and nothing would come up. So I guess I fooled it.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any more questions. More than a foundation, they actually care and give their time to people. It must be nice to find a friend on the other side. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Ask her if her friends or family disconnected from her after she was declared. Oh,
well, none of my friends have contacted me. None of my friends of 25 years have
really
made an effort to contact me. And there's a few people I reached out to on Facebook that I knew were out of the Sea Org, but not out of Scientology necessarily. And there's a few people that are like, no, sorry, I can't talk to you type thing. And yeah, no one's reached out to me. And I don't have any way to reach anybody in LA, because I know if I call, they're not going to put me through to anybody. Wow. If I write a letter, they're not going to get it because I'm declared. No one has email, like non-org email. It's like, yeah. So I don't have any family that disconnected from me. My family were already out of Scientology. So.
And are you connected? So your mom and your sister, how is that?
That's good.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah. My sister's just a couple hours away. My mom's like an hour away. And it's good because we can talk or not, you know what I mean?
That's cool. Yeah. It's like normal, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, because in Scientology, everything is your fault. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because you're at cause over everything that happens to you, even if it's done by somebody else, and they're at cause over everything they do. So who's the cause?
Wait, say that again. Say that again.
So yeah, they're saying everything's your fault. So I kind of expanded on that. So you cause everything that happens to you, basically, right?
Right.
Even if someone like is yelling at you or punches you or pushes you or whatever, you somehow cause that.
Okay.
But then if you look at the other person's viewpoint, they caused it too, right? So they punched you, but you're responsible. So how? So, but from their viewpoint, they're responsible. So then how does that work? Like which person is held accountable for,
Both
punching?
y'all are in trouble, basically.
Like, wait a second. Something isn't right here.
This is something similar to like an addiction and in 12-step fellowships. Not exactly like this, obviously. Nobody jump on my ass. But I mean, in the 4th step, you're supposed to find your part in the situation. And I think it could get it can go too far sometimes. You know what I mean? But yeah, wow. So does that mean you're pulling in? Does it mean like, is it like karma, like pulling in? Is that what that means?
Yeah, like when they say you pulled it in, it's like, oh well, you must have committed an overt somewhere. Okay, so for example, if a woman gets assaulted, well, she must have done something to make that happen, even if it's like in some lifetime from a million years ago, where you were actually a man and you assaulted a woman, then that's why it happened to you. It's like,
wow.
Somewhere you did something to make that happen. Like somehow you're responsible.
That's wild. That's so abusive, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing.
Lisa said I got here late. Are you still in Ohio, Catherine?
No, I'm in Oregon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I love it.
Yes, it sounds like it is a police state.
Yeah, it really is.
Legitimately, someone should hire Catherine, pay her well, and let her know she's loved. I agree. Well, I want you to give everybody a message. Anybody that may be still in there, what would you say to them?
I would say if you are thinking about leaving, or if you just have doubts, or you just want to talk about things, just reach out to somebody like that's on the outside, just to talk, because you're not going to be reported on.
Like a non-Scientologist, right?
Yeah, non-Scientologist or former Scientologist, if you feel comfortable with that. Just somebody who you can trust, who you can say how you're feeling, and they're not going to go to HR, HCO in Scientology and be like, oh, this person told me they have doubts. It's like you need to be free to communicate how you're feeling without being reported on.
Wow. Anyway. It's so much like an abusive, I mean, it is abusive relationship of the maximum. It's just
totally
insane. Oh, this is fascinating. Always wondered this too. Isn't that kidnapping? How do they get away with that?
Well, yeah, it basically is, especially when they send people this or that way. Like I was sent to Columbus, told I was going to Columbus, and then sent to Columbus, and I could have been told I was going back to LA, and I could have said no and gone to the police and being like, I'm being forced to go. But you're in such a mindset where you're keeping yourself in.
So it's not legally like you can leave, and it's not breaking any of the legal contracts either, right?
Yeah, you can. No, it's not. It's not. They don't have any legal right to keep you where you are. They have no legal right.
I didn't think so. So yeah, because it's like the prison of the mind. I mean, it makes so much sense. It's like trauma bonding to the max.
Yeah, exactly.
Does anybody else have any other questions before we head out?
There's some in here. Let's see.
Yeah, put it up there.
How do I? Oh, look, I'm going to learn how to put it down.
Click on it'll say show. Just
click on. Do I say pin message? What do I say?
It should say show, or just read the question. It's okay. It might be different on your end.
Okay, so it says, what was the biggest adjustment that you had to make in post-escape life? What was the biggest adjustment? Biggest adjustment. Let me think about that for a second.
That's got to be a hard question to answer.
That's a hard question. Oh, only the host can show comments up on the screen. Okay, fine. Okay. So what was the biggest adjustment? That's a hard one. I mean, one of the biggest ones was knowing who to trust on the outside. Because when you're in the Sea Org, you just kind of like sort of automatically sort of automatically trust people.
Really?
Other Sea Org members. I did. I trusted a lot of Sea Org members.
Wow.
But yeah, just knowing who to trust, knowing if you're like I almost fell into this weird scam where thought I was working for a legitimate company and found out that it wasn't when they like just completely disappeared and never paid me. So things like that like you're just not used to in the real world. And just various things like learning how to like build your credit, learning how to like, manage your money and just things that you just take for granted. And it's like, and you don't even know what you don't know. Like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that.
Right. It's so much like getting sober and clean, or like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, what do you do with your, like,
I have nothing to do with my free time. I'm like, I do photography.
wow.
And which I actually started doing before I left this work. I sort of started, and then I really got into it. And I have a whole Etsy shop, and I do all sorts of stuff with photography, mainly nature photography, but I do all sorts of things really.
I put her link in the description, you guys, and her website.
Yeah, everybody check out my shop, please. It's so much fun. It's I've made like 5 sales so far, and it's such a big thing for me because I'm like, oh, people like my stuff.
It is a big deal. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good question. Was it difficult to accept you were not really saving humanity at the Sea Org? Did you realize it while you were in there or afterwards? Wow.
Yeah, that was a hard one, because you're like, okay, this isn't really. Because I think what I had to accept first was like, even if I thought that the Sea Org was doing great things and saving the world, whatever, for me personally, I was unhappy and I wanted to do something with my life. I wanted to be happy in my life while I still like, while I still can, while I still have a life and I don't have like health problems or whatever, or I'm not like 80 years old. I'd like to do something that actually makes me happy. And I've always had the creative itch. Like I draw, I paint, I make jewelry, I do photography, I do like all this stuff. I love animals. I couldn't have any pets. I'm like, now I have my cats that I love. And I had to put that, like I had to put myself first. And for me, it was kind of like deciding, okay, well, I've been doing this for 26, 27 years now.
Wow.
I need to take some time to myself now. So I've done, like, to me, I'm like, I've done enough. Even if this is helping people, I've done enough for now. And then slowly I came to be like, okay, no, this isn't doing what I thought I was doing. So, and that even more cemented my decision to not be involved anymore. So,
hold on, I want to oh, don't be a stranger and come back. Yeah, I would love that.
I will.
How come she's so sweet, having been in a cult for 20 plus years?
I don't know. I just
because it's you. It's your personality, probably.
I like people. I get along with people. I like all sorts of that. I like helping people. Oh, thank you, Suppressive Squirrel. I like that.
This is perfect question. Do you think a lot of people coming out of Scientology turn to alcohol or drugs to forget? I would guess yes. What would you say?
Coming out of Scientology, maybe. I think more. I think a lot of it is like if you're coming out of the Sea Org, and especially for the people that have been in like from birth or from when they're very young, they might go down that path because they're like, wow, I never got a chance to try any of this. I want to go get drunk and do drugs or whatever. And some people do.
That's what I would think too.
I don't know about turning to it to forget. I don't personally know of anybody like that. Yeah. Like I'm even like, yeah, I'll drink a little bit, but I don't have a gallbladder, so I don't have much tolerance for that. Physically, I don't, and yeah. I'll have a little bit.
Good for you, anyways. So that's
And I also got a little bit of therapy when I first came out, which was great. It was fantastic.
Yeah, don't talk about like what you talked about, but like that I think is completely necessary for anybody that's experienced something like that to have therapy, right?
Yeah, because and that goes back to actually answering this question on what was hard to adjust to. It's hard to adjust to not being on your guard all the time, like being careful what you say to somebody or how you say it, or just being able to say really what you're thinking in like non-Scientology terms. Like I sort of learned that early on because I was dealing with a lot of like brand new people when I was in Columbus and stuff. So I learned how to like not use the terminology and still talk to people. But sometimes I'll be in a conversation, I'm like, I don't know how to describe this in not from the Scientology viewpoint, kind of. So.
Right. Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No. Aww.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
That is exactly identical to having to deal with a narcissist and getting used to not having to walk on eggshells. All of this is exactly narcissist relationship, narcissist. I mean, because that's what it is, right?
That is completely true. Yeah. And I was looking at this thing. God, I had this pulled up before on my computer went nuts. Maybe we should have another talk about the whole narcissist, like narcissistic abuse and cult abuse is very similar.
Yeah.
Here's this thing. I saw this.
It's like the same symptoms and everything, right? And the same kind of, well, I mean, because it's coerced, it's control.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dang it. Where's
I have that with AA stuff, which is interesting. And I say like, oh, I was just answering that. I have that with like AA stuff, and I'll start to answer it, and I'm like, nobody knows what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Shoot, I just 1 second. Now my screen has disappeared. Oh my god. Okay. 1 second.
You're good.
I don't know where you went.
Need it to talk about it, or could you just go off cue talking about it? Is it
1 second. It was specific stuff. Oh, 1 second. I'm sorry.
You don't be sorry. AA is for quitters. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. 14 years sober after I went to Hazelden, Minnesota here. Glad I found your channel, Lindsay. Went over to Catherine's channel.
Oh, Minnesota. I was born in Minnesota.
No shit. That's awesome. Yeah.
Almost in Canada, like right up near the Canadian border. Oh, here, I found it.
So wait. Here, I'll read this out. No, go ahead. Okay,
so there's this thing. It talks about attention-seeking behavior in adults, right? So it talks about where's this narcissistic personality disorder? Somehow I lost my screen. I can't see you anymore. 1 second. What is it?
Do you?
You can see me, right?
Yeah. Just go ahead and talk. It's fine.
Okay, so
you're good.
Go away. Oh, sorry, Papa Pads. Narcissistic personality disorder. So there was something here. People with NPD are usually described as arrogant, self-centered, demanding. Yeah, so that's like, okay, so many Sea Org executives, extremely arrogant, extremely demanding, self-centered. God, there was something specific in here. 1 second.
Well, because aren't they're abusive too, and I know the leader, from what I've heard, is extremely like obviously verbally and mentally abusive, but he's very physically abusive as well. Isn't that what?
Oh, he definitely is.
I mean, that would make perfect sense. But didn't you? So what happened? Your boss, the woman, attacked you, correct? Physically?
Yes, there was an instance where, yeah, she was upset with me not agreeing to do something. Whoops. Am I out of the studio?
No, you're good. You're here.
Why am I? Oh, where can I find you?
You want? Oh, so is it the tab at the top?
I'm such a
Press
dork.
the minus.
See, this is the kind of stuff you have to learn if
Well,
you've been in a Sea Org all your life.
You're learning as you go. That's how you learn. You're good. Did it? No, not work. What are you looking at now? An the internet?
Oh,
Or,
wait.
it's a tab.
I can't find the tab where I can see us anymore. Anyway, fine. Okay, so yes, so my boss, that was in, when was that? 2005. Yeah, in 2005. So she got really, really pissed off with me for not doing something or other. And she came at me and started kicking me and like physically attacking me.
Jesus.
And I somehow got away from her. But it was really, really traumatic for me. There was a couple other things that happened. Somebody like this guy that was a lot bigger than me pushed me against a wall one time because he was pissed off at me, like shoved me against a wall. And another guy shoved me against a metal shelf in the kitchen. And this woman one time, who was like my boss's boss, like slapped me across the face because she was really pissed off with me. Yeah, it was good old times. Good times.
Joe has a really good question here.
Oh, what is it?
A statement. But I also want you to first, do you think that Scientology breeds narcissists? Or it has the possibility to, is what I think.
I think that it greatly enables narcissists.
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody already has like a tendency to be like that,
Mm-hmm.
that, it fosters it, because especially if you're like an executive or someone who's in charge of other people, like it's expected that you're like a hard ass kind of, and it's easier to be that way.
Joe said you won't move into higher positions if you're not willing to do the things to people that other people aren't willing to do. Narcissists always rise to the top. Yeah, because they're going to do the things, whatever it takes.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. It's really sad too, because the nicer, like, but on the reverse side, I've also known some Sea Org executives to be really decent people and actually care about their staff and not be nasty and try to do everything they can to help their staff. And like, I've known some people like that. So it's not like a black and white thing. I've known a lot of like complete assholes, especially in RTC. Wow. Especially the ones that work directly with Miscavige, and they're just because they're trying to emulate him, and he's like that.
Wow. So you just get assigned your positions, Peace Dog said. That's so true. So of course, so if you don't have to work your way up to the top, then it's like there would be no,
Yeah, exactly.
So you guys were gonna wrap this up really soon because my little one is coming home.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I wanted to. So Katherine, any last words? Any last words?
Any last words? I just want to see if there's anybody else. If I didn't, if there's anybody I didn't answer on my live stream, I'm sorry. It doesn't look like there is. I only have a few.
One more question. Do you know what the current numbers are as far as Scientologists total?
I think it's between like 20 or 30,000 internationally. Maybe it's less now after COVID, because I think they lost a bunch of people during COVID, because people weren't going into the orgs and they could just kind of drift away and disappear. But yeah, I think it's between like 20 or 30,000 people internationally.
That's really not a lot.
No, that's not. It's very small.
Seems like you guys are winning the war then, little by little.
Yeah. Deal. Yeah, and there's also a lot that's happened over the years inside the Sea Org and inside Scientology that's been a result of activists making things known on the outside. Like for example, I don't know if anyone's heard of the Rehabilitation Project Force. Mm-mm. Like it's this thing that they used to send people on, where you do heavy labor and you get interrogations and it's a whole thing. It's like a what is it called? I don't want to say death camp. It's like a labor camp type
Yeah,
thing.
I know what you're talking about. Wow.
Not killing people, but they used to have this on all the Sea Org bases, and they don't have that anymore.
Wow.
They still when someone gets in trouble or whatever, they still will put people on manual labor. They'll put people under like interrogations and stuff, but it's not like this group thing where it's like this thing that you go and that's all you're doing. They don't have that, and that's a direct result of activists on the outside making a big deal out of that.
Wow.
and exposing it, and they canceled it. And another thing they don't do anymore is they don't do this in LA. I can't speak for the other Sea Org bases, but I know they don't do this in LA. And if they don't do it in management, chances are it's not happening on other bases either, which is that they don't keep people's passports anymore. That's a huge thing. They used to confiscate and keep people's passports so that it makes it so they can't leave the country or whatever.
Right.
And as far as I know, they don't do that anymore.
I wonder if they got in trouble. Maybe, who knows? That's interesting.
Yeah, and I happened to ask somebody from OSA, and she was like, "Oh no, it's illegal. We can't do that." I was like,
that makes
really?
sense. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. But for years, it was like a thing. It was like, you have to turn in your passport and keep your passports. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, we're not doing that anymore.
Can you tell everybody what OSA is that doesn't know?
So OSA it stands for Office of Special Affairs, and it's the part of Scientology it's part of the Sea Org actually, that it's the Dirty Tricks Bureau. It's the ones who go after people who are being critical of Scientology, or not just being critical of Scientology, but like attacking Scientology, or they've got like a lawsuit going, or they're maybe they wrote a book about abuses in Scientology, and they basically go after those people.
Office from the 80s.
And yeah, and it's a whole like it's their own like intelligence bureau basically for
just go after people, right, that have spoken out against.
Yeah, well, not just people that have spoken out. It's like they're running out of resources, so it's harder for them to just go after everybody, which is why I think that a lot of these people who've like spoken out on YouTube and stuff, they're not really being messed with because they're not really a huge threat, and they have bigger problems to deal with, and they don't have enough manpower and enough resources to really go after everybody. So, if you're a protester, if you want to go protest outside one of the orgs or whatever, chances are they're not going to like send a PI after you or something, because they just don't have the resources to do that. Yeah. And plus it just gets exposed and it makes them look really, really stupid. And
you see the screen. Joe said if people really want to be helpful, they need to have the decency to educate themselves on proper activism behavior for good results. The ones that are just getting more dramatic aren't interested in helping anybody out but themselves. That is a given.
Yeah, I would say. Totally true. I wonder if, 1 second. I still can't see you.
Oh, that's okay.
I can just see my own chat.
But you can see yourself?
No, I can't see myself. I can't see myself. I can't see you.
Well,
somebody in the chat said that it's Faucet Cat.
Oh, it is.
That's my little videos on my cat.
I saw that. Well, it'll end it anyway, so you might not be able to see it as we end it, but it's okay. It'll be ended, and it won't be recording you, so don't worry. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, just like instantly when I talked to you, I really felt like, you're a really good person, and that you're genuine, and it was just cool to hear how you're adjusting and all the different things. It's really awesome. And
I think we should do this again, because I love talking to people that have never been in Scientology and having these kind of discussions. It's really interesting.
Yeah, because my questions are going to be probably a lot different than someone that has been in it. Yeah, because the same thing with I'm interviewing people that are in recovery. I forget so much to ask because I think everybody already knows it, you know.
Yeah,
so it's pretty cool. Well, thank you. And everybody knows where to find her YouTube. Please check it out. Please subscribe. Right. And then her check the video description. I'm going to add her YouTube in there. And she's going to be able to look at all the comments after. So thank you so much. And I love you guys. Thank you for coming. Want to say bye to everybody?
Bye.
I didn't know if there's anything last you want to say. Any last words?
Any last words? See you again soon.
Yes. See, she's going to have more videos coming out and more to help people to get out of that situation. All right. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.